I was never the woman who raised her voice. I was the one who made sure no one ever heard it coming. My name is Eleanor Voss. For 17 years, I served as one of Her Majesty's most trusted silent operatives. They called me the Silent, not because I didn't speak, but because when I moved, the world stayed quiet. I eliminated threats to the crown before they even knew they existed. I carried secrets heavier than most could bear, and I carried them alone. On the outside, I was simply the elegant wife of Richard Voss, a rising diplomat and advisor in the Foreign Office. We lived in a beautiful Georgian townhouse in Kensington. I hosted dinners for ambassadors, smiled for cameras, and poured tea like the perfect English rose. No one knew that beneath the silk. Gloves were hands that had ended lives with surgical precision. Richard was my anchor, or so I believed. We met during a covert operation in Vienna. He was charming, ambitious, and seemed to understand the weight I carried. When he proposed, I let myself believe that even women like me could have a life after the shadows. I retired quietly. The crown gave me their blessing and their silence. For 5 years, I lived the dream I never thought I deserved. A loving husband, a beautiful home, and the promise of peace. But what I didn't know that crisp autumn morning was that peace was never meant for me. I remember the day everything began to fracture. I was in Richard's study looking for a missing fountain pen when I found the locked drawer. Inside were photographs. Not of me, of him, with her, my closest friend. Sophia Harrington, the woman who had stood beside me at our wedding, who had cried happy tears when I told her I was finally free from the service. My hands trembled as I flipped through more documents, bank transfers, encrypted messages, and worst of all, a file with my real name, my operational history, and a note in Richard's handwriting. Eleanor's past is the perfect insurance. If she resists, we expose the Silent. My heart didn't just break. It went cold. I sat on the floor of that study for what felt like hours, surrounded by the pieces of my shattered life. The man I had trusted with my soul had been planning to sell me out for power and money. Sophia wasn't just sleeping with my husband. She was helping him. They wanted to use my classified past as leverage to secure a major diplomatic position and a fortune from interested foreign parties. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife I had ever used in the field. That night, when Richard came home, I greeted him with the same soft smile I had perfected over years of deception. He kissed my forehead and told me he loved me. I almost laughed at the cruelty of it. Instead, I poured him his favorite whiskey and listened as he lied about his long day. Inside, I was screaming. I barely slept for weeks. The pain was suffocating. I kept seeing flashes of our life together, the nights he held me after nightmares, the way he promised I would never have to be the Silent again. All lies. Every touch, every "I love you" had been calculated. But something else began to awaken in me. The woman I had buried, the one the crown had trained to be invisible and lethal. She didn't cry. She planned. I started watching them. Quietly, patiently. I planted tiny microphones in Sophia's apartment. I mirrored Richard's phone. Every whispered conversation, every stolen kiss. Every greedy plan to destroy me. I recorded it all. The worst moment came when I overheard Richard say, "She's just a retired housewife now." No one would believe her even if she tried to speak. The Silent is dead. That was the night I stopped being Eleanor Voss, the betrayed wife. I became Her Majesty's Silent once more. I reached out to old contacts, people who still owed me favors. I gathered evidence not just of their affair, but of their larger scheme, selling sensitive diplomatic information to a foreign power. I discovered they had already received the first payment, millions, blood. Money built on my grave. My heart still ached every time I saw his face. I had loved him so completely. But love, I learned, can coexist with ice-cold resolve. I didn't want a loud revenge. Loud revenge is for amateurs. I wanted silence. The same silence they tried to bury me in. It took 3 months to build their perfect downfall. First, I made sure the evidence reached the right people. Anonymously, of course. Mysics, the palace. Certain members of parliament who still remembered what I had done for my country. Then came the night of the annual diplomatic gala at Lancaster House. The room was filled with the elite of Britain. Richard was set to give a speech about loyalty and service. How ironic. I wore a deep emerald gown, the color of quiet poison. When he saw me across the room, he smiled that same charming smile. But for the first time, I didn't smile back. Midway through his speech, the screens behind him flickered. Instead of his carefully prepared slides, My carefully curated evidence began to play. Audio of him and Sophia planning to sell state secrets. Photographs, bank records. Even footage of them together in our own bed. The room fell into stunned silence. Richard's face turned ghostly white. Security was already moving toward him. Sophia tried to slip away but found her exits blocked. I stood perfectly still in the middle of the chaos, watching as their world collapsed in real time. As they were led away, Richard's eyes finally met mine. In that moment, he understood. The woman he thought he had broken was the most dangerous woman in Britain. I walked out into the cold London night without looking back. No shouting, no tears in public, just the soft click of my heels on the marble steps. They say Richard will spend the next 20 years in prison. Sophia's reputation is destroyed beyond repair. The Crown recovered every penny and every secret they tried to sell. And me? I finally found peace. Not the false peace I had tried to build with a traitor, but real peace, the kind that comes when you stop running from who you truly are. If there is one thing I want you to remember from my story, it's this. Never mistake silence for weakness. The most dangerous women are often the quietest. We carry our pain with grace. We smile through our heartbreak, and when the time comes, we strike with the precision of a lifetime of hidden strength. Betrayal doesn't break all of us. Some of us simply remember what we were capable of before love made us soft, and we become silent once more. This is Eleanor Voss, Her Majesty's silent, and I am no longer afraid to be her.